Oh, it's on. Awesome.
36 feet.
Welcome, everybody, tonight. Thanks for being here. We are volunteers to the county commissioners as a resource for them for the shooting zone committee. My name is Robin Ball. I have been on and off this committee more times than I can count, over 20 years. My background includes owning an indoor shooting facility here in Spokane, which I have retired from. I've served on the National Range Development Committee for the National Rifle Association, as well as the Range Development Committee for National Shooting Sports Foundation. We've been resources for outdoor and indoor ranges. If any of you have ever been to Clark County, Las Vegas, that's a range that we were, that my company was impactful in getting set up and running for Clark County. I'm going to find my notes here. Bear with me for a second. So I do want to start out this evening with committee introductions. I'll have each of the committee members introduce themselves. Want to start?
I'll start. My name is, oh, how about the button, huh? Is that better? My name is Tom Miller. I'm originally from here. I'm a retired Marine, a retired attorney. And I have quite a bit of background in shooting sports, competitive shooting, training. And so that's about it for me. Clark?
I'm Clark Bergerud. I've been in Spokane since 1982. I'm an avid hunter here and around the world, harvesting animals in 4 or 5 different countries. And then I volunteer with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
My name is Mike Britton. I've been a lifelong Spokane resident. I teach hunter education and firearm safety. I work extensively with the game department, damage control hunts. I have experience, about 40 years experience with engineering, land use, and related activities. And so that's what I bring.
My name is David Gray, and okay. Rats, now you can hear me. Okay, my name is David Bray. I'm a former Marine. I've been on this commission as Robin has off and on for several years, but no other experience. I'm not a hunter. I do believe in the Constitution of the United States. That's enough for me.
Mine doesn't push. Okay. So my name is Jeff Meyer, and I've been on this committee for 2 terms now. Military background, lived here in Spokane 20 years this last time and a couple times before then. Extensive background with firearms in the military and also other training. So it's me.
Hi, my name is Jeff Ewing. Also a Spokane resident. I've served on this committee for some time. Been involved in marksmanship as well as hunting for my entire adult life and a little bit as a junior as well. And look forward to today's session.
Awesome. Thank you. So for the support that we have from the county, I'd like to ask Robert Brock, who is our fearless leader for the county, to give us some additional details regarding the petition and the process.
Good evening, committee. I am Robert Brock, representing the Department of Building and Planning. Our clerk tonight is Ella Myroshin. I stand corrected. We're in very capable hands. So tonight's meeting will be a hybrid in public, and there is the option of Zoom participation. And today we are here to we are here under Title 6.06 of Spokane County Code, which provides a process for citizens to request that areas be restricted from the discharge of guns, bows and arrows, or both, or the alteration of previously established areas under this particular code section. Tonight, we have a public hearing on an application whose objective is to have a geographic area designated as a no shooting area. We'll hear from those in favor and from those against. The committee that is before you is a body of 7 citizens who were appointed by the county commissioners, and they serve the citizens as the advisory committee on Spokane County's no shooting areas. And tonight they will hear this proposal. They will review previously submitted written comments, and they will deliberate on the merits. Their duty is to provide a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, who will be the ultimate deciders on this proposal. The committee may decide upon a recommendation tonight, or they may decide to schedule a deliberation session at a later date. They may request comments or copies of comments that came in, copies of any documents that are submitted tonight, or transcripts of tonight's testimony, and or other information they deem necessary to make an informed recommendation. I would like to point out that there are some exceptions to this particular section of the code. And the exceptions are found in chapter 6.06.035. And those appear to be relevant based on some of the comments that I read. And so what one exception to this is exception 1, discharge of a gun in a lawful protection of persons or property. So that is an exception to a no shooting area. Exception 2, maintaining or operating a rifle or pistol range so long as they are consistent and in compliance with acceptable land use regulations if a permit is obtained from the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Exception 3, small arms target practice by individuals if a permit is obtained from the Spokane County Sheriff. Exception 4, discharge of guns to eliminate pests if a permit is obtained from the Spokane County Sheriff's. Discharge of guns equipped, this is exemption 5, discharge of guns equipped with blank cartridges if a permit is obtained from the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. So I thought that those exemptions were relevant. If you would like, I can begin with the application, or we
Any
could,
questions from you guys on the information regarding what we're looking at that he's read so far? Okay, exceptions and all that. I know that we've covered that before. Okay, it's all yours.
okay. Just a little bit. Okay, so tonight we're here to review the application that we have titled NS 0123. And the map I have on the screen illustrates the proposed area in red and black outline. For everyone's orientation, all maps presented, north will be at the top, and west will be on the left side, and east will be on the right, and south will be at the bottom of the map. This particular application is generally located east of Division, which runs north-south on this property. South of Fender Road, which is at the top of the red and black outline. West of Hatch Road, which is a vertical line going up and down, north and south on the right-hand side of the screen. And then north of Jim Lane, which is at the bottom of the outline of red and black there. I'm going to change maps, but before I do, I want to describe a little bit about generally where we're at here. We're in the northern portion of the county, a little bit north of Wandermere. Highway 395 transects this map going in a generally north-south, south to southeast pattern. And we're in between Highway 395 and Highway 2. You'll notice there's a pattern at the south end of the map here, at the bottom of it, of more dense development. That land is land that we would say is inside of the urban growth area of Spokane County, is approximately 0.6 of a mile to the south of the proposed location. The orange coloring on the map is an existing no shooting area that's already been established. I'm going to change maps now. A little bit closer in view of the particular proposal, again outlined in red and black. And I'll note that this particular proposal, there are 26 parcels within this 116 acres. And I'm going to change photos or change pictures here to an air photo of the particular site. There's a closer in view of it. And on this map, you'll note that the white lines represent property boundaries. And you can see that various roads are around the outside edge of the red and black. It's outlined by the roads. So this area is characteristic of a number of parcels in 5 and 10 acre sizes. Most of the larger ones are 10s, and the small boxes, let's say up in the upper left-hand corner, would be 5 acre parcels. So the applicant in this proposal is Randall Duff. Our staff report, when it was written, we hadn't received any public comments. Since then, I believe we received 12 unique public comments. And 2 of those came in late this afternoon, and they were printed and provided to you. And I think the other 9 or 10 have been posted on our webpage on the Spokane County Building and Planning under no-shoot applications. So a little background here. The applicant submitted a complete application, including a petition, initiating a requested action in December of 2023. Spokane County Code Section 6.06.140 requires that the signatures of at least 50% of the property owners of the 26 parcels here must be obtained. And to prove that, the applicant has to provide us with a petition and an assessor's map. And the petition is characterized by having parcel numbers associated with each name. And we checked the petitions, and it appeared that they had 16 valid signatures of property owners, which accounted for 61%, which was greater than the 50% threshold that's required before an issue can come before this body. Section 606.140 requires that the requested establishment to either establish, alter, or change a no shooting area include a statement outlining the conditions that are alleged to be the basis for establishment and the facts that justify the establishment based upon the public health, safety, and welfare, and the effect upon the property owners if the request is not granted. Within the application, the applicant stated that neighborhood safety was the primary reason for the requested designation. The applicant stated that the proposed action would advance public health, safety, and general welfare because it will ensure that there are no stray bullets from the target practice. The applicant states that denial of the request would lead to a continuance of unregulated, unsupervised gun range with shooting at all hours. The proposed boundary of this generally contains private property that is not open to the general public. And a review of this application by the Building and Planning Department finds it generally consistent with Chapter 606. And we also find that public notice requirements have been met on this application. That concludes the Building and Planning's presentation. Should you have questions, I would be happy to try and answer them.
If you might not know the answer to this question, but the first map you had up with the red previously established no shooting area, that one, do you know when that was established?
I do not.
Okay. Do we know when that was established? Okay. Just curious. Okay, anybody have questions for Robert? Okay, Thank you.
Actually, excuse me, Robert, I do have one question. And I must have misheard you, but the application was filed. I thought you said December of 23, but it was actually July of 23. Did I mishear?
Well, the application trickled in, but I do not believe we received the petition part of it until December. So it came in pieces, but it wasn't complete until then.
Thanks for the clarification.
awesome. Thank you very much. So some ground rules for how we're going to proceed this evening with testimony. First of all, I do need anyone who's going to speak tonight to fill out this yellow card that's on the table at the entrance. If you need to grab one of those and get it to us, you're certainly welcome to do that if you plan on speaking this evening. You will, when you speak, need to come up to the microphone and please state your name and your address. Please keep your comments to the committee and make sure they're relevant to the application to be presented in a respectful manner, not of a personal or emotional nature. We want everybody to be adults tonight and get along. Time limit for each of your presentations will be 3 minutes. If you want to, we'll set up the timer when we get to that point. No unruly behavior, harassing remarks or outbursts. Anybody here not understand all of that? We're good? Awesome. This does not give me the pro and con on these forms. So it doesn't matter what order I take them in.
So I guess we're going to have to just proceed as you receive them.
Okay, that sounds great. So Mr. Duffy. Duff, sorry. Mr. Duff, would you like to start us out by talking about your petition?
My name's Randy Duff. I live at 420 East Fender Road. I started this petition due to the shooting in our.
Time out.
My apologies.
You okay, David? You okay?
Good to go.
Good to go. Mr. Duff.
Okay, I started this petition due to the shooting that has gone on for a number of years. The last few have gotten more frequent. You never knew when the shooting was going to take place. And the other part of this is that my wife has horses and she likes to go out and saddle up and ride around the back of the property. I shouldn't have to worry about my wife if she goes back and rides one of her horses. But so I think it was June, right around the end of June, 1st of July of 22. I happened to be sitting in the barn watching her on one of her horses, and the shooting started. And she decided that she probably should not ride at that point. And there was a lull between shots, and she started to get off the horse. And then the shooting started again, and she was tossed into the dirt and did a lot of damage to her face in this little accident. And I just would like that to the shooting part of it to go away, so I don't have to worry about what she does with her animals. And so basically that was the reason why I started this whole process. So it is a safety thing.
Okay. I will take comments from Mr. Woodford twice at the end of this. Yeah, is that okay? Okay, we'll have you wrap up. Mr. O'Leary.
Can we pull up any pictures that I sent them? Okay. My name is Scott O'Leary. I live at 19506 North Division Road. And I'm here today because I'm tired of the shooting. I'm tired of the unsafe shooting practices. I was a competitive shooter for years, shot at your range for many years, GSSF, fun shoots. My son was the youngest 14-year-old in the country to be nationally recognized by Glock as a shooter. We've never fired a round on our property, not one time. And I have the equipment to build a range. It's just not safe. There's no dips, doodles, anything. It's just pretty much flat and it's not safe. I'd like to pull up the pictures of the berm if I could. Try the bottom one first. Yep. Yep, go down if you would. Okay. So these pictures were taken February 18th. That's looking, can I walk over here?
Mm-hmm.
This is looking in their berm. All the debris, if you go to the next picture. Big rocks, next picture. There's various rocks. I know it's snowing, but there's a rock right here, rock here, all this debris, all the rock down here. They're shooting from roughly 100 to 125 feet back, maybe 150 feet back. And if you continue with the pictures, and you can see what's in the berm on that date. We'll keep going. This is looking north, so they're shooting in the berm there. As you can see, there's a shot right there, right behind there. You can see the roof line of the house. And I should clarify too, that these parcels are not 10 acres. They're 5 and 2, maybe 2.5. The one on the corner, the very northeast corner, maybe 7. But that's my house right there. I'm 476 feet off that berm. We all know I provided videos of how far bullets will travel, how many bullets, how many walls they'll go through. That's just looking down at the berm. Now, if you go back to my other one.
This one?
No, the other letter I sent in.
Oh.
Huh?
Time's up.
Oh, well, there's the other pictures of the berm they're working on. So dragging the rock out and you can see the rock with the drag mark.
You still have 20 seconds.
Okay, keep going up. Or down, excuse me. So they're getting ready to drag the rock out. This is the Saturday after they got the letter, and it keep going. There's the drag mark, the big rock. That's a 48-inch box scraper right there. So that gives you an idea how big that rock was that came out of there. And basically, I'm not against shooting, but I'm against somebody dying or somebody getting hurt. It's not a safe place to shoot. Backstop should have been put against their house. And rapid fire, I've seen them drinking alcohol. It's just not safe, plain and simple. And I'd love to shoot on my property, but it's not fair to my neighbors and it's not safe. So.
Kent Chadwell?
Good evening. My name's Kent Chadwell. I live at 19428 North Division Road. I am here of support of the new no shooting zone. The committee should have my written statement that I sent in on February 26th. So I'll just summarize quickly my concerns. Paramount to me is the safety and well-being of my family and my animals. Of most concerning is the frequent gun firing activity at the makeshift gun shooting range located just a few feet from my east property line and just a few yards, roughly 500 feet from my home. The shooting activity has a significant negative impact to our quality of life. My family and I cannot be outside to enjoy our own property during the shooting activity. Any responsible gun owner knows that discharging guns in a developed area with people, homes, and animals in such a close proximity is not safe. A gun shooting range certainly is not appropriate, responsible, or safe to have in this area. And for the record, I am a gun owner. I do support responsible ownership and use of guns. Thank you.
Pete Blackwell?
My name is Pete Blackwell. I'm a financial planner in Spokane. I've been here about 25 years. I stand in opposition to this petition. 1323 West Ballard Road. I'm about 1.5 miles as the crow flies from the property that we're talking about. I'm in opposition to this mainly because I'm concerned about creep. So if we're going to make a no shooting area there, I'm right across the highway, and that concerns me because I have 22 acres. My wife rides horses. We have 4 horses on our property, and we shoot responsibly. As to the physical construction of the shooting area, I believe there is no basis on there being a safety concern. I personally surveyed the shooting area in question. Shooting area has been constructed below grade, so it's a pit that goes down below the ground level. At the north end of it, the ground is starting to slope up. So that's 2 levels of height. And then the dirt that was excavated out was put on top of the sloping up ground. So that's 3 separate levels of height in that pit. At the lowest area to the top of the berm, it's 10 or 12 feet. I think that berm offers significant protection from the bullets going astray, and the tailings of the berm come around on the side a little bit, which helps from a bullet going out to a side type area. As to responsible conduct and safe handling of weapons, I believe there's no basis for that being a safety concern. I know both Mr. and Mrs. Woodford. Both are U.S. military veterans with extensive training in firearms. They both continued use and training and safe employment of those firearms following their military service. Mr. Woodford's judgment has to be pretty level-headed because he flies a 747 for a living. His wife served, in addition to her military experience, federal law enforcement experience. And their youngest child, who's the one that's most frequently at home that would use the range, at age 16, solo piloted a plane and is currently building his own plane. So clearly that's pretty sound judgment that I'm sure everybody in this room wishes a 16-year-old kid would have. I'm not sure that the safety concern is legitimate because the boundary requested comes to one side of the petitioner's house, not right across the street from his house. So it appears that really this is about one shooting range or area, not neighborhood safety as is indicated in the paperwork. As far as I know, and again, I've not been there all the time, I don't think there's been any nighttime shooting. I know there's a text that goes out to neighbors. And when we talk about responsible conduct, maybe a neighbor would walk over and say, can we work something out on when you're shooting and not end up at a government forum? I had a couple comments left. Would that be possible to go over?
Sure.
My qualifications for making these observations, I spent 24 years in the United States Marine Corps as the ground officer. I have extensive training and employment of firearms and the use of and other lethal and non-lethal systems. Served for 15 years as a deputy sheriff, a city police officer, and a federal law enforcement officer. And today maintain my federal concealed weapons permit, which requires me to shoot a Washington State Academy certification course on an annual basis. So I think I'm qualified to speak on this subject of safe firearms handling. In summation, I argue against the petition, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. So Douglas, want to go first or Joseph want to go first?
Hello, my name is Joseph T. Woodford. I was born on May 11th, 2001, and I am the youngest child of Douglas and Margaret Woodford, whom I currently live with at 105 East Gem Lane in Colbert, Washington. I graduated from Eastern Washington University in the fall of 2023 with a bachelor's degree in economics. I've been a private pilot since May 18th, 2019, and I am currently pursuing my flight training to become a firefighting pilot. Ever since I can remember, my family has enjoyed exercising our Second Amendment right through recreational target shooting. From a very young age, any and all things mechanical in nature have fascinated me. This includes aircraft, cars, motorcycles, firearms, etc. While I'm intrigued by all things mechanical, I would say that aviation and firearms are the only two fields that I have a hobby in. I'd first like to discuss my hobby in aviation. Being born into an Air Force family, I have always had a strong interest in any and all things in the aviation field. I have throughout my life become heavily invested in each area of aviation, including flying for recreation as well as for training, the construction of aircraft as I am building my own single-seat aircraft from blueprints, as well as volunteering on the restoration and maintenance of multiple vintage aircraft. In each of these areas of aviation, I am sure to follow all regulations set in place by the FAA in order to keep myself and my community safe. Similarly to my hobby in aviation, I have become heavily invested in all fields of firearms. This includes shooting both for recreation as well as for training purposes, the construction and maintenance of firearms, as I have assembled 3 of my own rifles and perform regular maintenance on all of my family's firearms, the reloading of my own ammunition, and hunting since I was 15 years old. In each of these areas, I have done extensive amounts of research, mostly through hundreds of hours of video tutorials, including ammunition reloading tutorials, firearm construction tutorials, ballistics tests, firearm reviews, shooting range construction tutorials, etc. I've also taken and passed both Washington State Hunter Safety and Washington State Firearm Safety courses in order to obtain my hunting license. Like my hobby in aviation, I'm sure to follow all local, state, and federal regulations in order to keep myself, my property, and my community safe. My family keeps firearms in our home in order to protect ourselves in the case of a life-threatening situation. These situations are extremely stressful, which is why it is imperative that firearm handling skills and shooting proficiency be second nature. This is only maintained through regular practice. Myself, my mother, and my father have all obtained our CPLs from the Spokane Police Department in order to protect ourselves at all times. Approximately 4.5 years ago, I used a tractor to dig out a large shooting backstop into the side of a hillside on the northwest corner of our property. The dimensions of the excavated area were 36 feet long, 20 feet wide by 5.5 feet high into the hillside. The dirt from the excavation was then added onto the back of the shooting pit, adding an additional 5 feet of backstop, totaling 10.5 feet. When first constructed, the pit contained a large, partially exposed boulder at the front of the pit, blocking us from using the bottom left corner of the shooting backstop. The boulder was never shot at, and targets were placed well away from this boulder. Similarly to firearms, am I allowed to go over?
Yeah, you can finish.
Similarly to firearms, our shooting range must undergo regular maintenance due to weather erosion to maintain its original dimensions. This is something my family does as necessary. Recently, when performing our regular maintenance, my father and I decided to remove the boulder in order to utilize the full size of the shooting backstop. The shooting range was inspected and approved by multiple sheriff deputies with the boulder visible. Since its construction, the sheriff's office has been called on us about 4 times. 2 of these calls resulted in a visit from sheriff's deputies. In the reports from the sheriff's office, many claims are made that juveniles are shooting unsupervised. At the time of the first report, which was July 9th, 2020, I was 19 years old. In the second report dated July 22nd, 2020, the sheriff deputy who came to inspect our backstop added a note that, quote, "Subjects have a very, very, very safe backdrop." In the latest report from July 16th, 2023, the callers stated that they believed quote, "believe neighbors are intoxicated," end quote, in reference to us shooting. Shooting on our property while under the influence of any substance is prohibited. Another caller on this report stated that we were yelling and hollering in excitement. Shooting is an activity my family and friends thoroughly enjoy and are excited to participate in. While shooting, hearing protection is required, resulting in outside voices being used in order to communicate with each other. Many claims also state that our backstop is makeshift or too small, listing, quote, 5 feet tall in the July 22nd, 2020 report. I believe these claims are due to the fact that no concerned neighbors have ever approached us since the construction of the pit. Without seeing it from on our property, it is nearly impossible to determine the actual dimensions or construction of the backstop. Had they asked to inspect it, we would have happily obliged them. In the Washington State firearm safety class I took to receive my hunting license, we were taught the basic rules of gun safety. These are the rules which all persons follow when shooting on our property, which are as follows. 1, treat every firearm as though it is loaded. 2, never point a gun at anything you are not willing to destroy. 3, keep fingers off of the trigger until ready to fire. And 4, to be sure of your target and what is beyond it. I'd like to end by saying that both aircraft and firearms are tools. These tools have their limitations, as do their operators. I understand my aircraft's limitations as well as my limitations as a pilot, and I respect these limitations every time I fly, just as I understand my firearms limitations and my limitations as a marksman every time that I shoot. And I respect these limitations every time that I shoot. Before anyone is allowed to shoot on our property, we ensure that they follow this principle. I ask that NS-01-23 petition not be passed, as it will inhibit the lawful shooting from which my family enjoys participating in. We are more than willing to meet with any of the concerned parties to discuss a rational solution. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to put you off for just a little bit longer and ask Tom Murphy to please come up.
Hi, I'm Tom Murphy. I live at East 120 Fender Road, Colbert, Washington. And we're directly north of where the shooting range is. And all I wanted to say was, I think the concern is, to me, that these areas aren't looked at or kept up with of what's going on with houses being developed. And it has probably overgrown quite a bit since it was a no shooting zone. And my concern is about bullet getting away over the backstop I'm 1,100 feet from where that is. And I've got grandchildren and children that come over. We have a big family. I have no problem with Second Amendment rights. I have my own pistols, rifles, shotguns. I enjoy shooting also. I just don't feel like this is the place to be shooting. And I also want to say that there has been shooting at night several times over the years, and I don't appreciate that either. So that's my input. So
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Douglas Woodford.
Hello, I'm Douglas Woodford from 105 East Gem Lane, the target of this petition. And so I've never been approached by Mr. Duff. He's never attempted to address any of his concerns with me. So it was quite a surprise to receive notice of the petition in the mail just over a week ago. First I've heard about it, and it's been in the works since July. So I'm a retired Air Force major, having served honorably 20 years in defense of our country. And I have, of course, had small arms training and shot expert multiple times. And in the Air Force, learned all the gun safety, shot on ranges, and had to maintain currency because that's how you keep proficient. Over the years after the service, continued to fire and shoot and hunt, etc. My son, you've already heard from him. Started hunting, passed everything, the hunter safety course at 15 years old, wanted to continue shooting. And the only time I've been approached by a neighbor was one time he was out shooting with a friend, and one of the neighbors to the north had said, we can't shoot here. So did some research, said, as long as we are containing the backdrop capable of capturing all bullets and their fragments, then we were okay, and dug the aforesaid trench into the area. You already heard the dimensions, 36 by 20, roughly 10 and a half, 11 feet high. You cannot see that from any other property than ours, unless you come down. You had the one picture where he came down to the fence line. Their homes are up the hill. It is not flat. Our property goes down and up the slope, which I have sent you pictures, and hopefully you will have those. So targets are placed at the base of the backdrop, leaving approximately 10 feet of dirt above the target to stop projectiles. And then, as Pete mentioned, we also have the elevation continues to rise. We treat rules of gun safety as paramount. You know, treat every firearm as if it's always loaded. Never point a gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Keep your fingers off the triggers till you're ready to fire, and are sure of what the target is and what is beyond it. Also, as a courtesy to neighbors, we send out a text to those we have phone numbers for to let them know that we are shooting. As a courtesy, we are willing to add more people to the list if anyone wants to be added. After receiving notice for this hearing petition, we got the reports, some requested reports from the sheriff, just got them a few days ago, and found out that they had said, in fact, as they visit us twice, first time they said, we'll never hear from us, you'll never hear from us again. Second time, that's the largest private backdrop I've seen. So may I have 30 more seconds?
Yes.
Okay. The complainants on the sheriff reports again said it was juvenile. The earliest he was but when my son was 19 to 22. We've never had unsupervised juveniles out there. We also do not shoot past twilight, which is in accordance with the hunting regulations. The sheriff, both times they came, told us we could shoot till 10. We don't do that. We shoot till twilight. Again, maintaining proficiency for hunting. When do the deer usually come out? And so you want to be able to shoot at that point. I am not sure that the signatories understand the rights they're signing away. The Spokane County Code of Ordinances, no shooting area, prohibited acts, States that it is unlawful for any person to discharge a gun in any of the no shooting areas described in this chapter. And 6.6.10 definition states gun means any shotgun, fowling piece, rifle, BB gun, air compression rifle, pellet gun, revolver, pistol, or other firearm, which projects any bullet, shot, slug, pellet, BB, or any other missile or projectile of any nature. Making the block a no shooting zone would prohibit any occupant from using a firearm to call livestock, hunt, shoot, or shoot rodents or pests, with the exceptions if we get a specific permit, including for a shooting area from the sheriff. Making the block a no shooting zone would, just yesterday, somebody on the text thread complained of having chickens killed by a raccoon and a coyote in the area. We shot 2 rodents last week with pellet guns. Families also could not train their children in the basic shooting skills with BB guns or airsoft guns. This would certainly be overreach in a rural community. Again, we were never approached by anybody about this, ever. Please do not approve NS 01-23. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Oh, one more. Hold on. Don't sit down. You're gonna get called right now. James Bunky.
Good evening. I live at 414 East Gem Lane. My name is James Bunky. Now, the significance of the no shooting area, I can agree with some of it as far as the late night shooting, but it's not so to this individual. We live in a valley. So you got people on the other side of Division Road that shoot whenever they want. You also have people on the other side of Hatch Road that shoot whenever they want. So regardless of just cutting out this little picture, you're still gonna have people shooting around us. Now, I have a young son. I believe in firearm safety, so we've been training him with BB guns and then with crossbows. With this particular case, if it was to go through, I would no longer be able to do that on my property. I have plenty of room between me and my neighbor behind me to where I can safely shoot a BB gun. We are also working with the whole concept of you gotta be mindful where you're aiming. So we have a little berm back there, but to have that right taken away from me to be able to train my son is kind of impactful of why I bought property in the first place. It was something I considered when I bought this property. If I wanted to go out there and test fire one of my firearms into a berm, I could do that. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, do you have a question?
I do. Would any of the people here, usually I'm loud enough. Were any of the people here that are supporting or against this petition that live in this area aware of this range when you moved there? Anybody at all? It wasn't there?
We lived there for 17 years.
I see. So can you estimate how long that shooting area has been there? Just, pardon?
A couple of years. It's
A
been
cou-
about 3 to 4 years, but they were shooting prior to that.
But it was never open to shooting prior to that. And we've notified the neighbors that we don't appreciate them shooting. It's one thing that the bullets are going off, and sometimes they'll shoot 200 rounds at a time. This is not just going out for blinking for 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes it goes on for hours. And the noise level, again, we're talking about bullets, but we're also talking about noise level. We all live around there in the evenings or in the afternoons. We want to go out and enjoy our yards. And these guys are out there shooting hundreds of rounds, and it's very distracting. The other thing is the fact that this neighborhood is being developed all the time. You know as well as I do, the city is growing. And these areas that have been open to shooting before are now becoming congested with homes. And these people are shooting towards other people's homes. It's going to only take one accident, one person that accidentally pulls a trigger and goes through somebody's house and kills somebody in this neighborhood, and then something's going to be done. But we need to do something before this happens.
And I realize they're trying to be careful, and don't get me wrong, but accidents happen, we all know that. And we need to take care of it before it happens, not after it happens.
I agree with you, and I think all the committee members up here would agree with you as well. But we can speculate all day.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
So about the sheriffs coming out, the two deputies that came out and looked at the pit at various times. I was able to talk to Sergeant Travis Hanson, who's the range master of the sheriff's department. Told him what was going on. He said he does not have the qualifications nor the training to decide if that range or berm or backstop is up to criteria. And if he doesn't have that qualification or training, most likely the deputies do not.
I appreciate your comments, sir.
I do have a couple of questions for Woodford's. What kind of firearms are you shooting?
We have multiple set out rifles, Fender 223, 300 blackout, and 7.62 by 39. We have a semi-automatic 12-gauge shotgun. Shotguns and pistols, we do not shoot at range. We walk up to the burn and shoot them at close range. We will shoot right at our property, our fence line to the end of the shooting burn is approximately 70 yards. The greatest distance, typically we shoot about 50 yards, 150 feet. We have a Mosin got Russian bolt action rifle and various 22s, mostly bolt action.
So you're 70 feet from the berm?
50 yards for rifles.
Okay.
I'd say 25 feet for pistols or shotguns.
50 yards.
Okay.
I have another question. Do any of you have any knowledge or record of any damage to any property or any injuries to any individuals?
We had contacted Crime Check and actually asked to have a sheriff come out and inspect the shooting range formally. After we had learned of the petition, we got a call back from the sheriff's deputy who informed us that they don't actually have to do that or have the legal ramifications to come out and approve a shooting berm on private property. That's not something that they're required to do. If they get called out for a calling concerning safety, they will come and inspect the pit to see if they think it would be safe enough. When we were on the phone with him, he told us that there are no reports in our area of any bullets leaving our property at any point in time.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other committee member questions?
I had one question. During the petition process, there has to be residents that sign the petition. How many non-residents participated in the signature signing? Does anybody know the answer to that?
There was no, the only people that signed the petition were people in that area.
Okay, so there was no absentee landowners or anything like.
There was a couple people we never could catch at home.
Right.
And some people declined to sign it, but it was only that area.
Okay.
I'm thinking of questions as we speak.
Fire away.
Upon visiting the area, I noticed that Gem Lane is a private road. Have any of the people on the opposite side of that road from this petition area complained?
Right here.
You live on the southern side?
Gem Lane and Division, the opposite side of the road that these people live on.
Okay, okay.
And I don't appreciate them shooting. I'm not part of the petition because of the boundaries that they have set. But I would appreciate if they would go to the Spokane Gun Club where it's safe to shoot instead of making their backyard a shooting area.
Well, you're right.
And all the rest of the neighbors.
You're right across the street. You get a great volume of noise whenever they shoot.
Right.
Thank you. I'm done.
Anything from you?
Questions for them?
Any questions? Yes, sir. Our fearless leader.
Okay, this is Robert here. I have a point of clarification. One of the folks that testified suggested the area was characterized by 2 and 5 acre parcels. And that is correct. Our staff report was in error. Predominantly, this is a 5 acre, there are 5 acre parcels, and the smaller parcels that were up in the northwest corner appear to be 2 acre parcels. And there is one 10 acre parcel there. So just wanted to clarify size of the lots.
Okay, very good. So the process generally for us as a committee is we'll come back and talk about the testimonies and the submitted information and go over the pictures again at a later date. You can all be notified of that as well. And we'll come up with a plan and make our recommendation to the commissioners at that point. Does that work?
That works.
We might need to close a public hearing.
Right. Yeah, it has to be an open public hearing.
Oh, next time too?
Yes.
next time
Okay,
too.
so we don't close the public.
Only if you intend to take testimony next time. Does it need
Well,
to
or
be?
if we're gonna confer.
We can discuss without a public hearing.
That's right. You
Yeah.
can take no testimony. In other words, it's a discussion period only.
Right.
So I guess,
I've raised a point of order. We need to take a look at the Open Public Hearings Act. For example, I've been on the Spokane Conservation Board for close to 15 years, and we have to take annual open public hearings training, and we can't confer without being an open public hearing. We simply can't.
well, an open public meeting, I think, that's a little different than a public hearing, but
Right.
we will notice that you're meeting.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
We can't
notice.
just meet by ourselves.
Yeah, it'll be a noticed meeting, when you decide
Okay.
what date that would be.
But we wouldn't take
But
testimony.
you
at
can
that
decide
point.
whether or not you want to continue taking public testimony or close
Well,
testimony
it
tonight.
hinges on hearing. Hearing really is broader than simply taking testimony. It's whenever we meet.
No, an open public meeting is whenever you meet. A public hearing is a
That's-
defined event, and
Yeah, the terms are taken so honestly. It's the Open Public Meetings Act with which we have to comply.
I did see the delineation between the two when I was reading through the requirements. So we can meet or we can have a public hearing.
you can continue your public hearing, or you can close the public hearing and decide you're going to deliberate on this issue at another date, which will be an open public meeting, but it will
Precisely.
not be a public hearing.
Right.
Thanks, Robert.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to express.
Yes. And when we get there, we will close this public hearing. Are there any other comments from anyone who is here tonight? Can we do that?
My name is Samuel Tinsley.
You have to come up to the mic and also state your address.
Hey, my name is Samuel Adam Tinsley. I grew up playing hockey with him my whole entire life. I live at 10895 West Sagewood Road in 9 Mile Falls. I have also shot with Woody, and we take our gun safety extremely serious. It's no joke. No matter what, it's always unsafe to ready to fire. Then you can shoot. I just think this whole thing is kind of ridiculous at this point. It's beyond safe. I understand where you're coming from, sir, but it's very serious for us. It's no joke. So,
Thank you.
yes.
I saw another hand go up. Yes, sir.
I changed what I had written down. I need to combine it with what I said with the rest. But testimony is different from what I have.
Okay. Can he submit additional testimony?
It depends if you want to keep the public hearing open, or if you want to take written testimony, I guess you can do that separately.
Okay,
Want to take written testimony for a
You'll look at the paper that I have written testimony submit, I can give you that, I'm just saying it's not completely accurate.
oh, that's okay. You can give two testimonies. They don't have to be exact.
Yeah,
That's okay.
we can, just add that it's. in the box.
So- You want that now or?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'd have a suggestion that would take care of him, and that's just merely take public testimony for an additional week from this point. In other words, they can modify, in other words, close the public testimony in a week from now.
Is that appropriate?
if you'd like to do that, we can do that. If you decide to keep testimony open, we should define a date when it will be closed,
Okay,
a date and time. And our office closes at 4 p.m. if you're looking for a time.
all right. Do we need, does the committee need a motion?
Would seem appropriate that you go through formal parliamentary procedures to do that.
And we don't have to extend it a week.
You can extend it to whatever.
So
period you'd like.
I so move that we close public testimony on March 8th at 4 p.m. That's this Friday. Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Any discussion?
Motion maker, usually we share it.
Well, then
I move that,
not.
what you said.
Ditto.
Is there a second?
I did second, with the recommendation that this will give the opportunity for people to respond to what they've heard today.
Any further discussion by the committee?
Someone
Support. Yep.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Okay,
think there's a young lady.
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jelena Strand. I live at 250 North Main Road in the valley. So I live in a city where we're not allowed to shoot. My family does have property where they are allowed to shoot out in the county. And I just wanted to say that when the Woodford family moved there, they were known that they were allowed to shoot there, as of all did the neighbors. And when they were making families and being out in the open in their house and all that kind of stuff, they knew what if something could happen, that's just how it would be, because they moved into an area where that's allowed. And if they were concerned for their family, then they could move out into a city where it's not allowed to shoot there.
Thank you. Want to move to close the hearing this evening?
Well, if there's nothing further, I would move to adjourn.
Do you have anything further, Robert?
So we're formally closing the public hearing, but continuing testimony via written testimony until
Friday.
Friday. Would you folks like to determine a date in which you would like to convene for deliberations?
Yeah, that's the question.
Sure, we know that's always the question.
Much time do you need?
Probably at least a week past that date.
A week past the 8th.
Yeah,
So,
and I think we had talked about if a deliberation session came up, that we would do it during the middle of the day.
yes. So the week after that, the week of the 18th. So the Bighorn runs 15. 14 through Sunday. Sunday's the 17th of March. Okay, so sometime the week of the 18th, do you guys want to look at Monday, the 18th? Does that work for you, John? Yes.
I'm looking at my calendar. Check with this week's calendar and the bill.
We have met in the conference room upstairs for these types of meetings. It's
Right,
much
yeah.
smaller.
Also.
We can meet in a smaller conference room.
Yeah. It's just for us to deliberate. Yeah.
You want to do a deliberation now or should we defer that?
I would like to read through what was given to me tonight a little more clearly before I start that deliberation process, for me anyway.
Whatever changes that might come about between now. Right.
Is that okay, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm just deep in thought because we need an ordinance change if nothing else. Overall,
potentially, yeah.
yeah,
We can't fix that tonight.
yeah.
Okay, so the 18th, what time?
Is that 4 o'clock?
Oh, you
Yes.
got a problem. Okay.
Anniversary.
Oh, so can we do that a little earlier?
I think we're okay if we wrap it up by 4.
Well, yeah, you close at 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
1 o'clock on the 18th?
Okay.
13.
I know, I speak that language too, just not fluently. I have to think. Okay, so we have a date set to,
Perhaps do a motion and vote on it might be appropriate.
somebody want to make a motion for meeting?
What's the date and time on the motion?
March 18th at 1 p.m.
Well, I move that we set another public meeting, March 18th at 1 p.m. Is that good for everybody?
Second.
Deliberation would be no public input.
Correct. Is that a second?
Second.
Okay. I missed that.
Sorry.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So
So can I,
we'll find a room.
okay,
that's large enough to accommodate you folks and some visitors, and email you that room's location and notify anyone that testified today of that room's location and reiterate the date.
okay.
And
Is it only them, not for the public?
the public can attend, they just can't testify.
And we've had people attend those, but not ever the numbers that we get downstairs for this process. That has been okay. Deputy Pendel. I would love to have you look at the property. Is that a possibility between now and when we meet the 18th? Yeah, you'll maybe need to talk to the property owners. That would be awesome.
Here's the messenger, you guys. So, not the decision maker, but my task with the sheriff's office is to go out and do the legwork and inspect properties that are in a no shooting zone and have requested the permit or variance, as we call them. And it's a process, and there's forms to fill out and pictures to take, and then I just literally just submit that to the undersheriff. Right now it's Mike Kittlestead, but any undersheriff will do. And I've been doing this legwork since about 2012, a little before that. So it's a solid process. But I gotta warn you, you know, it's almost like the loophole that you get this no shooting zone and then the shooting continues. But don't freak out. you're more than welcome to call crime check and have us, we'll come out, we'll look at every, process nothing and knock on a door. And if there's shootings, if they approve this and then there's shootings, that's probably why, is because they applied for a variance and they got it, and those are renewed annually. So if you want to ask questions about, well, what are the considerations and all that, how do you make that determination to issue the variance? You've got to talk to the undersheriff. Now, I'm just the guy that collects the information from him that has to do with the improvements you've made, the direction you're shooting, the number of homes and all that. That's the nuts and bolts of it. But you may hear or see me up there again. And I don't know if I talked to her or not, or if it was a different officer, but that was accurate. We don't do inspections. What Sergeant Hansen referred to was also accurate. We're not taking on that liability. Y'all are governed by state law. Unlawful discharge of a firearm, assault with sex, right? If a bullet goes astray, I mean, I've seen this. I've been a cop for 25 years, and this is how I've seen it play out, right? What you're doing, like shooting in the area where you can legally shoot, is assuming responsibility to not break the dozens of state laws that already tell you do it properly, right? So you're ahead of the game with this whole. I appreciate that there haven't been any documented incidents of violation of state law. So glad for that. Can't wait to see what the commissioners decide.
Me too.
Yeah, but I'll go up and take a look.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Before we get away, I was hoping that maybe Brock could explain to everybody exactly what's happening. Well, we make a recommendation after deliberations, how that's passed to the commissioners, how the commissioners hold a meeting, adopt, or whatever they do, the procedure after us.
Well, I'll do my best. So what will happen is you folks will formulate a recommendation and we will put it in writing for you, and then you may all sign it, and then it will be transmitted to the Board of County Commissioners. They'll probably take it as a briefing first, and then they'll make a call on whether or not they think they need to hold a public hearing on it, or they accept your recommendation. And then it's before them in a legislative session, and they debate and deliberate, and then decide what they want to do. So
Very good. Any other questions? You get a motion to close this hearing?
So moved. Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.